This is the call to order of the East Long Meadow Public Library Board of Library Trustees for its meeting February 15th, 2017, and it's now just 6 o'clock. We'd like to take attendance first and then proceed to the rest of the agenda.
Christy Schneider, Massachusetts Library System.
Sydney McKnight, trustee.
Diane Tiago.
Art McGuire.
Charlie Gray.
Darcy Kane, Friends Board Member. And Layla Johnson, Library Director.
Meeting minutes. Minutes of the January 18th minute have been distributed and computerized, and I think we've all probably seen them. I think someplace in there was a spelling error on the writing of the name McKnight. Did anybody spot that? There was a spelling error of your name someplace in there.
In my name?
May not have been in the January 18th list, but I came across that someplace.
Gee, I didn't pick up on it.
And you would.
I don't know where I saw it, but it's in some of the summaries there. Anyway, if it's found, fine. If not, fine. Does anybody need more time before we?
No, I read them over. They appeared to be in order. David submitted them. Does anybody have
Oh, here it is.
any thoughts?
It's in the director's report. And if you go to the last page, and if you go to the middle paragraph.
Okay, so we'll cover that when we.
Oh, well, these are in the minutes.
Is it in the minutes?
And it's NAUGHT. Thank you. In the director's report. The minutes seem to have it right.
Mm-hmm.
They do.
It's a tough name.
There were a couple of typos. David isn't here, but nothing material.
These are the ones that were you rewrote.
Yeah, she
These
rewrote
are
those.
the cleaned up a few of the grammar and.
Oh, you've gotten the typos? Okay.
Yeah.
And so you added your name, is that right?
That's all right. Well, I'll move,
I liked it.
I'll move,
I like to write it on.
I don't blame them.
thank you. I'll move that the minutes for the Board of Library Trustees meeting of January 18th, 2017 be approved as submitted.
I'll second.
Questions? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There's official. Guests' opportunity to address the board.
Wow.
Excuse me, Art, is somebody going to take minutes?
Well, I'm
Is that-
jotting things down.
I'll jot them down too, and I'll do it.
Yeah, okay. And I'm always happy.
That's been heard.
I love
I'm
it.
always,
Is that admirable?
I
That's
love
been
it.
heard.
I
You've been
love it
heard.
when a plan comes together.
I'm writing it down. Cindy
Okay.
said.
Please.
Who's doing it?
Jot things down anyway.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy.
You're welcome.
First, Darcy Kane.
Okay, well, thanks for having me. Diane invited me back again this year to fill you guys in on the mini golf event that's coming up in March. So we decided to give the fundraiser a go again. This year it'll be on March 11th, which is a Saturday, from 10 to 3. 10 to 3. So the same format as last year. Library's open, things will run as normal. Patrons will be made aware that things might be a little bit more noisy and a little more hectic than usual. But last year it seemed to move along really well. Patrons had really positive things to say. Nobody came to the desk and complained about the noise. Nothing. It all seemed to be really well received.
What was the date?
March 11th.
That's a Saturday, if I'm remembering correctly.
You got it.
Saturday, March 11th. Good.
Yep. So we're using the same vendor this year, Joe Buckley from Mobile Mini Golf. His pricing is still all the same. And one thing I just wanted to run past you guys again this year is if you would like us to again take out that additional liability insurance that he offers. Which we did last year, and I just thought I would double check with you guys to see if that was something that we wanted to do again this year.
I would think so. That would be my
I think it was recommended, or it was suggested by the Friends group last year, and
right.
we followed the Friends lead.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
Whatever-
having done it before, we thought,
whatever
That
you
would be-
folks recommend, I think we would be fine with
Are
it.
you thinking we don't need it, or?
you know,
Or
it's
you don't
not a
have a-
huge expense. It
Okay.
doesn't seem, it's a $52 cost.
Oh.
He's able to get it directly through his insurance carrier. It's just a piece of paper, and it seems like it
You know,
can't hurt.
It protects both
Yeah.
parties.
Yeah.
And you never know if some damage happens.
Sure.
or whatever.
I think you're wise to do that, Darcy.
All right.
You,
So.
do you agree, Leila?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So this year, one thing that we're doing a little bit differently, last year we took donations and it was free of charge. This year we are gonna try a small admission, so $3 per player with a $10 family maximum.
Could you maybe go for the benefit of people? Jenny Robbins is here.
Sorry, late.
Uh,
Sit over
I'll
there.
switch. Here, Ginny, you know what, I'm gonna switch with you though, this chair isn't in the best shape.
Okay.
There, you take that one.
Thank you, though.
There you go, Jenny. How are you?
Pretty good, thank you. Not liking the cold, so.
You're moving pretty good.
It's good to see you.
The record show Jenny Robbins is here.
Good to see her too.
Thank goodness.
So
Um, I apologize, Darcy, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but could you, for the purpose of people who may not have been here for the mini golf event last year, it was a very nice event, a family event, I think it is. Could you go over what it is? And I know it has to do with golf, and
Absolutely.
could you go do a who, what, how, and that kind of stuff?
Absolutely.
Just real
Sure.
quick.
Yeah, so it's an indoor mini golf event that we set up here at the library. It's 10 holes, so 5 of the holes will be in the children's department. There's 1 hole that gets set up here in the community room next door, and the remaining 4 holes are upstairs. Each hole is decorated with a literary theme, so we're well on our way to having our holes decorated. We have 8 holes themed and planned out so far, so we're looking for some volunteers to wrap up those last 2 holes. So there's a starters table which we set up last year in the cafe area. People played, they get a scorecard, you follow the course around the library, play around a mini golf, and just
Take a
have
book and go.
have a good time, yeah.
And it really was, if I'm remembering correctly, a family event. There were a lot of family and children, family members and children here together last year. Now, what about the golf putters and the golf balls?
So everything is supplied by Joe Buckley of Mobile Mini Golf. He supplies the course itself, so the actual holes, which he's constructed out of foam and different materials. He provides the putters, the golf balls. He creates the scorecards for us, so we send him, our artwork, all of the information about our sponsors and donors and things like that, and he puts the scorecard together
That's
for
great.
us. Golf pencils, everything. He has everything right there ready for us. So we set up the starters table, and people play around a golf. Last year, I think we had about 130 to 140 people play golf. There were lots of parents or grandparents who came and just walked the course with the kiddos, but that was the number of people who actually played. So hopefully this year, we're going to continue with a lot of promotion, and hopefully this year we'll maybe even get a stronger turnout than that, weather permitting.
Is there prizes for low score?
He does
Hole in one.
He does have a sheet where he keeps track of hole-in-ones, how many under par,
Yeah.
so he does do some fun things like that, like a bragging list.
Yeah, right,
type of thing.
right.
Yeah.
The plaque that goes
Show them
up.
the flyer you've
So-
created.
I brought
wow.
our
Oh, nice.
flyer that we use for promotional purposes. I'll send this around, and on the back side is our donation letter that we've sent out to
You could think of.
Yeah, we really try to cast a pretty wide net. So I can pass those things around. So
Super.
start it heading this way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. At this point, we have 6 hole sponsors, so monetary donations to sponsor 6 out of the 10 holes. Hopefully, we'll get sponsors for all 10 holes before we have the event. We have 12 raffle items right now, currently.
How much is a whole sponsorship?
So
Oh, is that on there?
on the donation letter, the sponsorship
Okay.
tiers, there's different tiers.
Okay.
So, as little as $50 or as, you know,
1,000.
as much as you'd like, sure. So, so hopefully we'll get
Great.
all 10 holes sponsored. We have 12 raffle items so far, which is great, because last year we only had 10 raffle items. So we're already, we already have a greater amount of raffle items, and hopefully we'll still accrue a few more before the beginning of the event. And the raffle will run 2 weeks before the event this year, which that's also a change from last year. Last year we only hosted the raffle the day of the event.
Oh, that's better.
And there were great items, it just wasn't enough time maybe to generate as many ticket sales as it could have. So this year we decided to set up.
Or if
the-
people couldn't come that day.
Yeah. Yeah, so this year we decided to set up the raffle for the 2 weeks prior to the event, not only to hopefully generate a few more sales, but for promotional purposes also. Yeah. And the one last thing is Joe Buckley will be coming next Tuesday, the 21st, to bring some promotional items, which he did as well last year, which we were able to set up in the cafe area. And that seemed to drum up quite a bit of interest. And there's a practice hole if the kids, he leaves a putter and a few balls. If the kids want to play on the practice hole a little bit, they just head up to the circulation desk and ask if they can use those things for a few minutes. And
Now, are they plastic balls or regular balls?
regular balls.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're getting
I'm
antsy.
getting
I
it.
know you are. Yeah.
She's
And
warming
real
up for the
fun
spring, huh?
I think that's the goal.
One other
Show.
thing too that I thought was really great is he encourages 1 putter per party. So, if kiddos are
that's good.
standing around waiting for their siblings to play, there's not this putter that's kind of flying
Swinging.
around and swinging and hitting things. So he really, there's some kids who might say, no, I really want the blue one, or I really want my own, or whatever. But we try to encourage 1 putter per group.
Sounds good.
And on a Saturday, start on Saturday morning at 10. If you play, probably as a family, but probably take you about an hour and a half at the most.
A lot of people made it through more quickly than
Well,
that.
quick. Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
there were
Yeah.
a few times where a line backed up and it might have taken a little bit longer. There were a lot of people that went through a few times.
Oh,
They
really?
probably just didn't have anything else to do. And
Oh,
the
that's
kids wanted
nice.
to play a few rounds.
Yeah, we're just getting warmed up.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And of course, March 11th, we're probably not going to get a lot more snow on March 11th. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
But being inside, it won't matter how much snow is still on the ground if there is still snow on the ground.
Yeah, as long as people can get here.
If you
Yeah.
can get here, then that's great. Well, it sounds like you've got it under control. Lila, you got anything to add? I know this is the.
Just
You're-
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I was unfortunately I couldn't make it to the chocolate tasting, but I've already got the day blocked off for the mini golf. I saw her Star Wars themed whole some of the preliminary decorations. It looks really cute, so
Yeah.
I'm excited. But yeah, I think the extra insurance is a small enough fee that it
Yeah.
definitely wouldn't hurt to have it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it sounds like we're gonna have a good time.
Good stuff.
Thank you
Really
very
good
much.
job there.
Thank you.
Oh, thank
Really
you
It's
guys for-
it's good to see you.
Yes, it's
Come
very
back,
nice.
come back more often, will you? Once a year just isn't enough. You know that.
Anytime, just let me know.
Well, thank you for everything you do. I know you've had a busy year, and we sure do appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. On behalf of the friends, you're very welcome.
Good. Good luck.
Thank you. Did you want to hold on to those, or I'm happy to take it, or did you want to
Oh.
take a peek at it? It's up to you.
I have seen it, so
Okay.
thank you very
All right,
much.
You're welcome. And Cindy, did you get a chance to look
I did.
at the
I did.
sponsorship? Okay,
Yeah, really good job.
very good. Oh, all right.
Thanks,
Good stuff.
Great.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thanks for coming.
See you, Josh. Thank you.
Good to see you.
You too. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce Christy Chadwick, whom you all know, and whom I MLS trustee consultant
Thank you.
with good things to say.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate being invited here to speak to the board in regards to, I know you've gone through some changes over this past year in regards to the town charter. And invited me to just really be able to speak to you about any concerns that you may have in regards of that change of direction. And hopefully just to be able to reassure you that while obviously it is a change from how the Board of Trustees has gone for the past many years, it is not something that is actually that different. There are other libraries who have this issue, who have the same situation with the town charter and having the town manager actually be the one who follows up with the director. And it really does not lessen the Board of Trustees at all. You still have a lot of purview in regards to policies, advocacy, and having that operational look at the library also because of your experience and your enthusiasm for the library. So I did bring a list of a few other libraries that do have the same setup as East Longmeadow does now. I was able to talk to my colleague at the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners, Erin Williams-Hart. If you're not familiar with her, she consults for trustees at the MBLC also. So obviously between me and her, we would be able to answer any of those questions that you may have. So I'll be able to give this information to Layla, and you guys can actually, if you wish, follow up with any of those libraries. I'm sure the trustees and directors there would be able to tell you how it's affected the whole sequence of events and how it seems to differ from the processes that have been applied before. But I guess I really need to know, if you have any specific questions or concerns about it. I can certainly see what I can do to reassure you that it is.
I just would say, welcome back. I understand from Cindy that you actually worked with, and from you also, that you actually worked with Cindy here in this very library.
Yes, I was an employee.
The trailer too?
No, not at the trailer. Many moons ago.
So you know where the restrooms are, and
I do. I know how to get directly over to town hall.
You know-
I know where all the secrets are up in the town area. So I do know all that.
well, that's good. Welcome back. It's good to have you back, and congratulations on being at the Massachusetts Library System office as a
Thank you.
trustee consultant. We appreciate your help, advice, counsel, and so forth. And you worked as a cataloger here, I
I
understand.
did, yes.
A while back, some years ago.
Just a couple.
Cindy has spoken highly of you, and I know Layla, you have worked or know Christy when you worked from Springfield.
Her work with MLS,
MLS.
she's a great resource.
Yeah. I think Art, you had a couple of questions about functionality and chain of command, that kind of thing, and although Christy seems to have anticipated many of the questions that I had, how much?
I have several questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're an advisory committee now.
All right.
You agree with that?
I think it really depends on what has actually been listed in the charter. Sometimes, I didn't get a look at your actual town charter before this, but if what it has done is put personnel, as in the department heads, under the purview of the town manager, that really still doesn't lessen the impact that you have in regards to the other services that you provide. I'm not exactly sure because, every trustee board is a little bit different. Your actual process of reviewing or putting new policies into place, how much you actually work with town management or possibly town council for those situations, if you are already working in tandem with them on that, that's not gonna change.
No, they're all
what we're
brand
doing.
new.
Okay,
Everybody's new.
okay.
Questions that come up is, we're an advisory committee. Who do we advise? Who are we reporting to
Who are you reporting to?
as a
Yeah,
trustee
well,
group?
As a trustee group, you are still working in tandem with,
In tandem.
Yes, you're working in tandem with the town, and you're also working with the director. As your place, are you appointed or elected?
Eventually,
We're gonna-
We're going from an elected to an appointed board,
Okay,
appointed by the town manager, who is in contract, about to have a contract shortly.
From the human resources person just got put on board.
okay,
They're awaiting the human resource skills available to write contracts, and so that's one of the reasons for delay.
the way the charter, as was implemented or as was approved, voted to be approved, the boards of our town will continue in place, membership of the boards will continue in place as for the terms that the members were elected to. As the terms expire, in our terms, we have 6 members of the board.
right,
Our terms are 3-year terms, historically have been 3-year terms. So 2 members per class, so 2 members expire each year. Pardon the use of the word expire.
yeah.
Don't take it you're looking
I've
for.
seen expirations of many kinds.
That's true, right. But so every April, 2 members would normally present themselves for election, or or there would be 2 vacancies, which would be filled by elections. This year, we would expect that the vacancies that would occur at the end of April would be filled by appointment of the town manager.
Okay,
And so that's, but in the meantime, the remaining 2 classes of 2 would continue, 2 people would continue for 1 more year after April, and 2 people would continue for 2 more years after April. So after the 3-year transition period, all 6 will have been appointed by the new town manager.
all right,
And I just happened to pick up a copy of the Home Rule Charter for you in case you might want it.
thank you. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Don't ask me to memorize it. Diane memorized it for me, and
There are,
she knows most all of the commas. I took care of the periods, but
there are some key phrases in there that Denise Menard and I talked about
Okay,
in my phone call to her on the matter of responsibilities and the like. And it says that all building matters, including the use of this room, and all personnel and their problems are hers to deal with.
okay,
And so some of the function that we've been involved in the past, and I include all financial matters.
right,
So we're really here to pursue policy issues. Now, in my search in the past, when the charter change was up for discussion, I got on the phone with a variety of groups that come to have management systems such as we presently have. I can't remember all the different places I called, but one message I got, and I'd like your response to, and that is that the Board of Trustee members whom I spoke to wrote policy that was ignored by the library director at the request of the town manager. In other words, it's easy to put aside any trustee actions that might occur, including disagreements. That disagreements will be decided by the town manager. And I recognize that, and I've had enough political experience. I was a delegate to one of the Republican conventions once, and the like, and thought that it threatened any significant posture of a board of trustees. And so I considered and answered questions as to what we're to do. we are the filter or relationship person from the library director to the town and from the town to the library. And I now consider that our most important function. And the policies are nice, but the policies have a certain wallpaper position.
Well, I would say that, yes, there are definitely instances where that sort of thing can be true. However, every municipality is different. And I think that you all have the chance over these next 3 years, in your purview as the Board of Trustees, being able to do that, is making sure that the relationship that you all have with the town moving forward and supporting this library, being a voice to the community and working with the director is a positive.
Oh, I
Yes, absolutely.
fully go along with that.
Oh, yes,
effort.
I know, and it's hard. It is hard when you hear the difficult stories that some boards do have in regards to these management issues with other libraries and with their towns, but unfortunately, as we know with politics and just dealing with municipal issues, those things can happen, and I always try to make sure that, if you are operating with, the forefront of the library in mind, then hopefully everybody who is in town administration that is going to have a relationship with you in regards to this is going to give it that same 100% that you are.
Okay, I've responded to calls from the community to quickly discuss things with Leila and her predecessors. And I take occasional calls at home from people, as I'm sure we all do. I thank you for that. That's good to hear.
You're welcome.
Uh,
And if we have further questions, you're one of those we call.
Absolutely.
Just to share with you what we've been doing the past, recent past, Denise Menard, that's her, the new town manager's name. In fact, your timing is perfect because I read in the paper that her final contract was approved last night and announced in the paper this morning. So we're happy for her and happy for the town. That's a good thing for our town. Interestingly enough, when she was appointed the acting town manager, one of the first places she came was to our board, and she met with us here. And we talked about transitions. We talked about how we were going to continue to work, and we were all very, very impressed and we had good positive reactions to her attitude. And she basically echoed what you just said, I think. That is to say, she could not envision making or taking actions, major actions, that without getting the advice and counsel of us as the trustees. And it was interesting because, as you know, Leila knows very well, we were in this period of turmoil where we were actually looking for a new library director. And when we approached the interview process and did all of that and the screening, we asked her to be involved, and we hoped that she would, and she was. She was involved in the final interviews. In fact, she sat in on the interviews and then asked us for our recommendation, and when we made our recommendation, she endorsed it, and we were able to make the hire. Really, it was seamless. So she did exactly what she said she was going to do. Look to us for advice. And then she, of course, we especially liked it since she took our advice. But that's the way I think it should work, frankly. As she said, and I'm not using her exact words, but the background, training, experience that we have as a group she would not want that to go away, and that's something that she thinks is going to be very valuable to her. And so we feel good about that, and that's consistent with your understanding. I think it is consistent with your understanding, and that's a good thing. So we're fortunate because Cindy has worked at the library. She was the children's librarian for many years. Diane is past chair of this group, the Board of Library Trustees.
And on the Friends Board.
And Dan, yeah, I
And has a
know.
picture of him.
My close personal friend to my left has been on the board for over 40 years. And you know her from the old days.
Yes.
When she was, she joined the board when she was about 12, I think. But Ginny is this background experience and that kind of thing. She's a very valuable person for us because she knows a lot about the background, and that's very helpful running an operation like we have. The only question I would add is, and I know Diane always has questions, but before you ask your question, let me ask one more. Do you have any, you say there are a number of other towns or municipal entities that have gone through the same thing that we've gone through,
Yes.
or that we're now continuing to go through. Do you have any words of anything that we should keep our heads up for or be particularly attentive to or
Well, I mean,
sensitive to? Or
I think that at this point it does sound like there's a lot of administration that has gone through changes here, both with the town charter. You said, the new town manager just got their contract. I know Leo's been here only a few months also, so she's new. So it can seem like there has been a lot of change, but you will hit a point where things start to seem a little more status quo. And I think it's always good to be vigilant, to make sure that you are understanding what is going on at the town. So I don't know if you get regular notes or attend regularly the town council meetings themselves. Just make sure that you know what is going on the administration side, with the town side, when they're dealing with departments. Because obviously now you've the library has been ingrained a little bit more as they've always been a department of the town, but now with the changes to the town charter, sometimes you may just want to make sure that you are a little more aware of what is going on.
that's a good point.
And, otherwise just keep the library, you can keep yourselves as positive as possible with all of the work that you do. And, as I said, from my experience here, the boards have always been very, very attentive and very positive about this library. So I see no reason why the relationship, even though it is changing structurally, it actually has to change that much. So hopefully, as you move forward working with the town, you'll find that you still have that amount of influence and purpose that you do.
Hopefully I have no reason to believe that won't continue. We're fortunate that we have LCAT, East Long Meadow Cable Access Television. And so we're able to look at watch all of the council meetings on LCAT. And also Mrs. Menard has periodic staff meetings, and Leila has been very careful to keep us up to date with what's going on at the staff meetings. As a department head, which Leila is, she attends those staff meetings. So that kind of communication is good. We get to have some of our views or questions or positions or concerns articulated by Leila through the town manager, and vice versa, coming back down. So I think that part of it, with the open and transparent communication will be good over time. I hope it is. Before I keep rambling on, what did you have?
Well, basically what I was thinking, and I don't know how other cities, towns, how they do it, but is there some type of liaison between like the trustee board and a town council, or do they invite a member of the town council to come to one of their meetings, or
I think that would depend actually on what the board chooses to do. And you would probably implement that through your department head,
Right.
your director, to see if there are times, especially, I am sure that in most cases, like any other board meetings, you know, if you feel that you need to speak to someone dealing with a particular situation, you would invite them in. You may not need to do that, you know, consistently
Right.
every month, but it may be something that you would need to do sporadically from time to time.
I just think that personal presence makes a better impact.
Absolutely.
You know, so we can watch on LCAT all we want. However, there's nothing like
a good point.
being present. Not all the time, but
Right.
you know, having good communication among the board. Yeah.
But other boards are going through the same thing.
Right, it sounds like
So-
it sounds like it is a change that is going through other boards within your municipality. But also, you know, as other boards normally have to do, agendas go out ahead of time. So you should have access to those, so if you feel that there is a situation you want to respond directly in person to, you would be able to attend.
Okay.
Yeah, I have another. Do others have questions?
Go ahead.
No.
Not at this time.
I did also check with several lawyers as to our role. I'd like to run the thoughts by you. They said that you're perfectly fine, but if there's a disagreement between you and one of the managers, we'll just say Ms. Menard, and there's significant disagreement about handling certain issues, if you are public with your commentary and they clearly go the other way, they put themselves at some risk. Is that true in your experience? Professional risk of being on the, you know, if something doesn't work out.
Right. I think I have not dealt with any particular, you know, specific situation in that regards. I would think that just like any other representative of a board within a municipality, though, obviously if there are conflicts like that with a town manager or another, you know, higher department head, it makes sense that that could, you know, be disparaging at times, but hopefully there wouldn't be issues that come to that. I mean,
No, this is just if,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think it's best not to be as concerned about that right now, because it sounds like from everything that I've heard right now that you all are actually in a very good place with where you are going, and you are keeping apprised with the changes that are happening. So, yes, I would say that if that's the advice that you've been given legally, it is very possible.
Yeah, this was
Yeah,
not an
but
official
every-
legal opinion.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I'm doing that, I apologize, because I turned it off, so.
Your pizza's ready.
I know. Oh, yeah, no, it's just an alarm that was shut off, that didn't shut off by itself because technology. Yeah, so I definitely understand wanting to be prepared for those certain concerns. Maybe at this point, it's best not to be too overly prepared. It's a situation that you want to make sure, you know, you are doing what you need to do right now. And as long as you are doing that, if you start hitting a situation where you feel that you are going to be in conflict with management, it may be something that you can ask more specific questions of later on, whether from me or MBLC or, other colleagues that are in the same situation as you. There are definitely avenues for trustee members to be able to have conversations with other trustee members throughout the state.
I don't know if anybody's on the trustee emailing list.
Yeah.
There was just a very lengthy discussion over the past few days about appointed and elected boards, what's your authority, how do you handle this, and it was on the trustees mailing list.
Yes.
So if you're interested, I'll send everybody the link, you can opt in
Yeah.
to that, and it'll also be another resource for you.
That'd be good, that'd be great, I would be interested.
That's important, yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
and that is a state distribution list, so as a trustee, you're automatically put on the announcement list, so if they have specific announcements for trustees, but this is a second list that you can actually converse with each other on it. And as Layla said, it is a very good resource. It's not highly trafficked, so you're not going to be getting dozens of emails every day, but in this situation, it has been a very good conversation between people in the same position
This
as
was the
you.
most emails I've ever seen on
I
the
Who,
trustee listing.
who
I've been
sponsor-
on it for a while.
Who sponsors it?
It is controlled by MLS and MBLC.
Together?
Yes.
You and Aaron?
Not us specifically. Usually, we understand that, but usually the conversations are just you, but we do all have access to it, so if we feel that we need to weigh in
Great, I'd
some
love to,
additional
I
information.
don't remember having seen it, I'd love to see it.
Absolutely. Sounds like Layla will be getting that information to you shortly.
I have one other thing from the past. It doesn't really pertain at the moment. The advice, and this goes to having searched out somebody that was offered the job of library director almost a year ago, I guess, and ultimately turned it down. The advice given in how to search for a library director said, if I recall correctly, that we were allowed to check the references provided by the applicant, but nobody else. No other references should be pursued. Am I correct in that impression?
That is generally the case usually across job searches, so I guess I'm not exactly sure what you are referring to for outside references.
Other people who may have worked with the individual who came from someplace
Right.
distant from here. I forget just
Well,
where
I
he
mean,
had come from.
obviously, if they are only providing you certain references, those are the references that you contact through the job search. Other information that you may hear about outside of that, obviously, you can bring up in discussion, but it is not an actual reference. It's not a reference callback, but it just.
But it can be used for decision purposes.
Right, it would be something that, if you feel that it is a matter that you can discuss during the time, then it is something that can be discussed during the time. Yeah.
Okay. That's important to me. Good. Do I hear silence?
Layla, you have any thoughts or questions or anything that you'd like to bring up at this point?
Not specifically. We did have a department head meeting today, and it was touched on that, as Christy mentioned, all the boards in town are going through this process, and we're going to be learning together. And I guess my specific question would be about library property, because formerly I considered library property under the domain of the board. Now it seems like it's town manager authority. So what do we do? Is this correct? Is this now, like our collections, are these now the town manager can decide what to do with our collections, or is this making sense?
You may, right, I definitely understand. In most cases, usually, yes, if the board is transitioned to that. Sometimes though, at the town level, because you are technically a department of the town, all of your property really falls under the town purview and their rules when it comes to purchasing and disposal and everything like that, unless those policies have already been established. It may be something that if you have specific listings of policies, whether it's in your collection maintenance policy, other building policies that actually addresses acquisition and disposal of those items, you may want, it may come down the line that you'll need to verify with the town in regards to any shifts that may have to be done with that, and if you do have to look at any sort of revisions of that policy. There are definitely towns that they're just they are more hands-off, and that they allow transfers to the friends, stuff like that, for once you de-accession items. Or it may be that they have their own rules of how the town feels that that sort of disposal of quote-unquote town property has to be done. A lot of times that usually doesn't actually fall under collections, but it may fall to, furniture and other physical items that exist in the library. So that may be something that will come up down the line.
I think it's coming up.
Okay.
Also, along the same line, in terms of the building itself and its spaces, since the building was built with state funds and private funds and a third public funds, where does the building spaces fall? Is that still under the town manager, or is that,
if the town,
I'm kind of,
yeah, I mean, I think that these are things that you'll have to probably clarify down the line. The library itself has policies on how the spaces are used and requests for using your community room and this room, and when you're having, friends group and stuff. In most cases, a lot of towns stay hands-off with that, but there are times where they may put requests in themselves for using them, and it may be something that you would, as I said, check what your policy actually says, find out if you do need to transition any of that with the changes in the charter, and then talk to your other colleagues, other trustees who deal with that. If you have any specific questions about those other trustees who are going through the same, who are at the same level with you in regards to who actually has control of things, can help you with that also. Yes, sir.
Charter was pretty clear. I was reading it and discussing it with Mrs. Menard that the control of the buildings are the responsibility of the town manager.
yeah, I understand that, but when the state grant was given, under the grant rules, are there clauses in there that say we have to do such and such?
That is a question that you would have to put to MBLC, because they're the ones who offer that,
Yeah.
not us. I don't think that there is, because obviously there have been buildings for libraries of many different situations, whether it's town control, not-for-profits, cities. So I don't think that there are limits that would guide that too much, but you could definitely follow up with the MBLC in regards to that, and it will list who the building consultants are.
I have some of that information
Okay.
at home, and it's a 20-year use of this place as a library. And it doesn't seem to specify more than that.
Yeah. Yes, they tend to keep that information very loose for you, so that, if the situations do change later on.
Yeah, that's what I have in mind.
I'm coming in from a Friends of the Library perspective.
Here's your hat.
Yeah, that's where it all began. Now, our friends group's been very, very generous to the library, and made some substantial purchases on behalf of the the library. So does that property also become like property of the town, and that the town can decide whether to
That's a good question.
keep
It
it?
is.
Or, I mean, it's really a gift. So basically, where does that put those gifts?
I do not know if your friends currently has bylaws or a memorandum of understanding with the library that deals with
on our
that
list.
I was
information.
just talking to her, to Layla about that, because I do think it's an
Oh,
important
it's definitely,
to have. And so, anyways, we certainly do have bylaws, but that's the piece that we don't have at this
Okay.
time. But I recommend that we do.
or, let's say they purchase a new piece of furniture, and
Mm.
can the town then say, well, we need that in this department and that department, just
Right,
usurp
I
it.
don't, usually that does not happen. I have never heard of that happening, because of the fact, especially, because it is a gift to the particular organization. as opposed to the
Also,
town.
people also give specific gifts that they want this book by, or,
Yeah.
I know the Rotary
Yes.
gives, instead of a speaker fee, a donation of money for books. And I know what happens, I know when somebody wants to gift something, they don't want to gift it if they don't think it's going, like, to our program fund, they want it for that. And I didn't think it was even legal to use it for something else, but under this, I don't know.
Those particular things should not change if you already have, gift funds that come into the library. You have always been a department of the town, so even though you have the changes coming with this structure and stuff, knowing how much is gonna change in the future, obviously, you do have these questions that you can bring up. You have resources that you can, go back to get the answers of these specific questions. But at least you have, some ideas in mind of being able to look at some of the things that you can address going forward with those specific questions too. So I don't have a specific answer for you for that, but it is something that I can research, or I can have you get in contact with Erin, who may have some more information specifically on
There might
that.
be other trustees who run into
Right,
something.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, and as I said, I do have, some libraries that are under the purview of their town charter and now under the town manager also, so I'll leave that list with Layla so that she can check in with them
Okay.
and ask some questions that she needs to.
Great, thank you.
Is there anything else?
Well, let's see
Because
what
I'm
we can
here if you wish to come
tap the well here.
That's the Chinese curse, isn't it?
Yes.
May you live in interesting times. These are interesting times.
Absolutely.
I think we've started off very well. I frankly I don't anticipate any significant problems or any problems that can't be dealt with. Certainly, I understand the position of the charter, the people who created the charter and the charter that was voted on, that they expected the boards, town boards, committees to be to be involved in the creation, maintaining of policies, and that's basically what we have done historically. As far as managing the building, we've always been comfortable delegating or cooperating with our DPW, and they've been fantastic in maintaining our building. And all of the physical plant, the DPW has really taken the lead on our behalf. So that is not new to us. I would have some reservations if there was someone who would suggest, in order to, say, balance the budget, that any monies that had been put in trust for the benefit of the library be taken away in order to balance the budgets so that X, Y, or Z could happen. And I think that, frankly, the town members, the people that are the residents of town, would not want that money to be allocated differently. Similarly with the collections, particularly the historical collections, and Ginny has been very active maintaining our, what's it called? What's the formal name of that room upstairs? The historical room.
Local, yeah.
What's it called?
Local history?
Local history room upstairs. There's some very, very valuable, irreplaceable historical artifacts. I wouldn't want someone coming in and saying, well, we can sell this off. We could get rid of this and balance the budget on the historical artifacts that we have, in fact, maintained on behalf of the town.
Or rare books, or.
The books,
Right.
that's right, exactly what I'm talking about. And so, but I don't expect that to happen. In fact, I take Denise at her word, because she said, you folks are the people who know about the functioning of the libraries and who have been involved in it over a period of time and who are sensitive to the issues of the libraries. And I would not be, and I'm paraphrasing her words, but I would not be smart not to look for your advice and counsel on these issues. That's reassuring to me. So I feel like we're heading in the right direction. I'm very positive about it. And the other thing that I would say is that the bylaws, the town bylaws, are going to have to be revised. To the extent that some of these things that have been historically dictated not only by our bylaws and by the way that our town has operated in the past, but also by state law. There are certain things library trustees have been asked to do in accordance with state law. We're going to have to make sure that those things are addressed as we revise our bylaws. To the extent that some of these issues could be incorporated in the revision of the bylaws, that might be a good thing. But I know what the intent of the members of the Charter Commission was, and that was to put management, supervision, budgeting, purchasing, and all those administrative tasks under the purview of a town manager, a professional town manager. Setting policy, that's us. And to the extent that that our judgments and recommendations are acknowledged and respected, I don't think there'll be any problem at all. Hopefully.
And that came up at our department head meeting as well, that the bylaws committee is going to, they're reworking the bylaws section by section with Denise. And when they get to the part that specifically refers to the library, we will be contacted. So I will be sure to let everyone know as soon as possible.
I sound like a shill, don't I? I didn't know that was immediately happening, but it's a good thing it is.
It is. And so, it will be a slow process, but it is taking place. And when it comes time for the library's turn, the department head will be contacted, and I'll be sure to let all of you know as soon as I know as well.
Good. That's important.
Yeah.
Further questions?
Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much too. I was glad for the invitation. I'm glad that I was able to be here to answer any questions. And obviously, if anything comes up after this meeting and further on, feel free to contact me. And if I don't have the answer, I will find it for you.
Okay.
So,
And she will.
yes. So thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for coming.
Thank you. Good to see you.
You're welcome to stay.
I thank you. I will do. I know.
Long bag.
I have 3 children at home, so I think I will.
Meetings,
properly-
meetings,
Ah.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay,
Our
thank you.
pleasure.
Thank
Good to see you.
Be careful
3 children
driving,
at home.
Christie.
Yes,
One of each, huh?
pretty much.
Thank you. Layla, that was very valuable. Thanks for arranging that.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm looking on the floor. I dropped a pen.
Oh, no.
Don't make any sudden movements. I'll find it later.
Layla, can I just ask you about the bylaws? They're being reworked, they're forming a committee.
I believe the committee has been formed.
The committee's been formed and then
There's
they will
this.
work on the bylaws for the town council.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
Your pen come apart? Huh?
Yeah.
Here's a pen right here.
This is part of it.
No, and the committee is from the department heads, is that?
I don't think so. I'm not entirely sure. It just came up that the committee has been formed and is working on bylaws with Denise.
Okay,
So I'm not sure exactly who is on it, but I can find out for you.
okay.
That's not the same as the charter, or are these?
No, different.
I don't
No, it's
think so.
different.
That's okay. We expected that to happen, and that's a good thing. That's a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
thing.
it is.
Keep us posted.
I will.
So it's a work in progress.
I'd like to know the methodology that they're going to follow, so that when our turn comes up, that we'll be prepared.
Yeah, I think the better prepared we are for that, the better that the library will.
Gotcha.
It will be, I think so too.
I have a lot of questions too.
Oh my God.
Narrative written report
So.
of the directors.
Yeah, in keeping with the tradition of having conference room and community room available for town meetings after hours, we were able to book a meeting for the Board of Health, and we had the gate fixed. So now we are, DPW came over, tested the alarm. I understand use of the meeting rooms were quite high at one time, and then numbers kind of dwindled, probably because they have their own conference room over there as well, but, so that's good. I'm excited we'll be able to, have more use of the meeting room. So they're gonna be here on February 23rd. We tested the gate, locksmith came out, it's in working order. And so I submitted our annual report. Thank you for everybody who provided feedback, it was very helpful. This is the first time we have attempted this. So I needed all the help I could get. And if it's okay with all of you, now that it's been submitted to the town, I'd like to go ahead and let Sharon post it on the Board of Trustees webpage. Not sure if you need to wait for anything like that, or if I can just go ahead and have her do that.
Historically, that's been signed by the chair. Art would sign it officially, I suppose.
There was a message yet to the town from us, as I recall.
Right.
Okay, so need to wait for them.
Well,
Them being,
Wait until I receive a message from town council, or?
no, I think if we approve that,
That.
it's ready to
Put
be
it up.
submitted. Unless
In the
so much was
interest
done automatically then.
of, in the interest of being able to demonstrate how valuable the library is as a resource for the town, I've asked the department heads to start various systems of tracking statistics. Usually we do one large statistical report, Cindy probably remembers, for the year. I want to start taking a look at those things monthly. And so we'll be looking at reference questions, program attendance, community room use, library visits, and then also monthly narrative reports. So we're working on putting all those together right now. Probably the system will start in April. I'm accustomed to doing it monthly, just to keep a handle on the adjustments that may need to be made or issues that may come up. I included in your packets a Chromebook use policy that we'll get to. I've been working with cataloging, and we can catalog the Chromebooks and let them be used within the library. So I think that would be, we can move this cart out of here as well. It's a locking cart, it can go right by the circulation desk, has the power connections and everything that we need right there. And so we'd be making them more accessible and also moving the cart out of the conference room. I attended the strategic plan workshop yesterday. Got a lot of really valuable information there. And so I'll be working on a survey first, and then probably asking one or two board members to participate. Very interesting, it came up to make sure that we don't have a quorum
Yeah.
participating in the community meetings that we have, because that would generate open meetings laws and all that kind of thing. So
Interesting.
yeah, it was a very good workshop. I'm glad that I attended. The Friends and I are working on a summer games circulating collection. Games will be donated and cataloged like our puzzle collection. Programming and outreach. Lindsay Johnson has started coordinating outreach to the Council on Aging. Lindsay is visiting the Senior Center to help with downloading digital library books, register new borrowers, offer materials for checkout, and other library services. So we'll gauge demand. Right now she's going on the second Friday of the month. Gauge demand, we may or may not want to increase that. So, the Human Resources Director for Cardamundi, which is in the Milton Bradley campus, contacted a couple of department heads and the town manager and met with us to discuss their charitable guidelines, becoming more active in the community. I'm going to meet with her also next week to talk about things that they're interested in participating in. So hopefully summer reading programs will be an important part of that.
So who went to that?
This was the one day that I wasn't here, so I had Carol attend. Sharon was out of the office that day as well. So we were represented. Sandy is the name of the human resources person. She'll be coming here so I can give her a tour on Tuesday next week. Parks and Rec, we had to reschedule our meeting, but so I will also be meeting with him. He's been under the weather, as everybody has, I think, with this nasty stomach flu that's going around, so that we can talk about partnering also for summer reading programs. Cindy and Diane and Laura and I all attended the legislative breakfast at Wilbraham Public Library. And I met with Adult Services and Children's to talk about the theme for this year's summer reading, which is Build a Better World.
That should be easy.
Build a Better World.
Tell me about the legislative breakfast.
Sure.
What did you hear?
That funding cuts are having a big impact on services this year. Reduction in delivery, which would be how quickly we get materials from other libraries, is going to have to be reduced in July, as in 3-4 months from now.
Permanently.
Most likely.
Not just the month of July, but
Unless that some of those cuts are restored, that will happen.
Yeah. Databases are also a big part of the purchase that are, some databases are going to be eliminated or up for consideration for elimination.
databases, meaning?
Yeah, they're an online research service. I'm sure you're familiar with.
Like there's a genealogy one,
Yeah.
there's all different
Oh, I see.
kinds,
Okay.
business ones.
Yeah.
Which is.
So service, informational services.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna really be impacted.
Yeah, the threats have been looming for the last several years. Cuts are gonna have to come. This time it really is happening. For example, there is a staffing position that's being left open at MLS. So the cuts really are having a big impact on library services, which will start in July. I think the cuts to delivery and to assistance for our network fee for CW Mars
It's gonna increase.
is having a substantial impact across the state.
Who was there representing our legislators?
Eric Lesser's aide was
Eric,
there.
excuse me, Eric Lesser's aide was there?
Yes,
Okay,
and Angelo Pupolo was there.
he was there?
Yeah.
Well, it's
And they weren't optimistic, I didn't think.
it's regrettable. Libraries all over the state are going to be hit by these cuts, and they're not good. And they're inappropriate when you're talking about relatively small amounts of money. They don't even approach the $18 million that the legislature just voted
Not even for
in
themselves.
pay raises. 18 million of which doesn't even include, I don't think, the contributions to the legislators' pension plans and all that stuff. It's not a good thing for our town. It's not a good thing for our libraries. It's not a good thing for the libraries across the state. If it happened, when it happens, the services will be degraded, and libraries will be forced to make cuts to the very people that help our children to learn to read, and cuts in access to books and periodicals that we get from libraries that are away, and the ability of our libraries to maintain a presence on in the electronic age, electronic media, internet access for people who don't have access to the internet, and all the other things that are so valuable today. It is foolhardy for the cuts to be coming at the library, for our libraries.
I was struck at the meeting by how little of the budget the libraries actually.
It's very small.
It's
Point
0.3,
Yeah.
0.1,
Point
something
one
like that.
percent or
Less
something.
than 1% of the entire.
It's less than 1%.
It's a very small amount when you're looking at the state budget, and it's totally unnecessary for people who are thinking about what the cuts mean. As we operate a very careful program in our library, as do other libraries in the state.
I will say for that 0.1% or whatever, it's a very tiny amount. The amount of service and efficiency that comes with every dollar that is put into that, and that's going to be so eroded. We made it work on such few dollars and work well, and it can't sustain these kinds of cuts without a major impact.
Legislative breakfasts are a chance for us to tell our legislators, if they come to the breakfasts, how these very, very small cuts to them impact us majorly.
And we were sort of preaching to the choir, because the legislators that came are very supportive and have always been supportive. Eric Lesser himself would have come, but they had just had a baby. So, and he sent a very able representative with him. We're very fortunate in this area that we have legislators that are supportive of libraries and are appreciative of the efficiency that they have used with the dollars they've been given. And I did ask if they could, how they might be able to sway some of the ones that may not understand the impact of what's happening. And they really try to. But they're getting hit from all sides. There's a lot of very important needs and only shrinking dollars.
Right.
And they also said they don't know what will happen too once the casino comes on board and some other revenue producing streams. So they don't know. I mean, that's an unknown.
Well, the Music Man is coming to town. That'll solve everything. Thank you, Lele. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Not a good thing. Okay, what else you got?
I think that's enough. Let's get these policy updates here.
I did have a question. Thanks for sending along the director's report ahead of time. You can't mention the strategic planning. I think it's important that, and we've talked about this in the past, that, and I think it's your intention certainly to involve the trustees as a group, and we do want to be involved. But also the staff, your staff should be intimately involved. There's nobody who knows more about what's going on in the library than they do, and what our future needs will be, because this is really a long-range plan. But we also have to be sure that we include the Friends. The Friends are the people who keep the doors open 5 years, 10 years, 15 and 20 years down the road, and the Friends should have a major impact. And then the last people
The,
Exhibit policy.
yeah, there were no changes or anything to this, it just,
This being the exhibit policy.
yes, I'm sorry. The exhibit policy, the version that I have, it said that it hasn't been updated since 1990. So I wanted just to make sure that this would still be something that,
Is relevant.
yeah, that you feel would cover both the needs of the library and the person exhibiting.
When last we reviewed these, Lila,
Mm-hmm.
we felt that there wasn't really any reason to make any material changes
Okay.
to this policy, and that's why it has gray hair all over it. 1990, nothing.
What?
Nothing. Well, I have some ties that I bought when I was in 1990, but that's about it. But I looked at it earlier, and if we're going to change it, I would add in the first paragraph the word historic. Library, well, actually I put a semicolon there after in the second line, semicolon, change the capital T to a small t. Thus, the library welcomes the opportunity to allow community groups, organizations, or individuals, various display areas of the library. Space is provided for displays of an educational, cultural, civic, or recreational nature. I might add someplace in there historic.
Okay.
So that it could say educational,
Cultural,
Cultural.
historic,
or
civic.
civic, or insert the word cultural, historic after cultural.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would think.
And then, 1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph down, last line of that. Library director and staff person shall accept or reject materials offered for display in accordance with, rather than in accordance to, the criteria in this policy statement. If we were going to change it, I would change the word to with,
Okay.
consistent with.
The
And if
positive.
we're going to go that far into the weeds, I would hyphenate in the line before that, first come, first served basis with library related being hyphenated. So I'd insert a hyphen. And you know what? That's why we didn't revise it, because that's all I had. Does anybody else have anything else?
I have a comment to make. I put some tools out there in the last case for a
Those
couple of weeks.
those were historic.
Those were historic and those were recreational, but nobody showed me this piece of paper.
Well,
The release.
Yeah. I think
Oh. Yeah, it should be.
well, you know, I'm gonna try to remind everybody. I don't think they realized this policy existed. You can't find this policy on our website. It should have been up there.
Yeah.
So my guess is, since Sharon brought to our attention that we need a display and exhibit policy, I have a feeling they didn't know we even had
Yeah,
one
I
to
had that
begin
feeling.
with.
That's right. They probably didn't.
So that's what I'm thinking, is that I think it was either November or December's meeting, Sharon said, I think it would be good if you created a display exhibit. And
See, that's
it
why
was
it's
like
so
click, click,
important
click,
to
click,
involve the
you know,
staff and
and
let
so
them
forth.
know what's going on.
And I started thinking, and I thought,
So you're thinking maybe I haven't even seen this before, huh?
no, what I'm saying is it's been in existence. I'm saying staff
I had never
probably
seen it.
wasn't aware
Oh, I
that
see.
we
Yeah,
already
yeah.
had this.
It looks fine to me,
Be-
though.
you know, because it's not, I guess it never got posted on the website, because I went to look for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not online right now.
Okay.
Shall we,
And Charlie, that first line that you said, that where the thus is, you wanted to take out, oh, okay,
change it from a sentence,
to a semicolon.
yeah.
And a small
word is-
t.
The capital T thus is the
Yeah.
sentence fragment.
Yeah,
If you
gotcha.
put a semicolon in and change
Change
the
it
T
to-
to a small t,
Yeah, then you'll be fine.
it'll flow.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that all right?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I got it right for the,
Yeah, for the next go around.
yeah, that's right.
Well, another 27 years will,
No, our next go around meeting, the minutes.
oh.
Right.
Um,
That's why I hate to do that.
Any further comments on that one? I'm prepared to. A motion to accept?
Sure. I move that we amend the display/exhibit policy for the East Long Public Library Board, the trustees policy, the policy that was adopted September 24th of 1990, amended as of today as discussed.
Okay, sounds good. Second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Further comments? In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's in place. Click. And the last, Chromebook use policy
What
draft.
else you got, Lila?
This is the last one, I promise. The other ones are under old business. So this is the Chromebook use policy that I was discussing a little bit in my report. Just provides some guidelines on using the Chromebooks within the library. And also, sets up that, there is a replacement fee of $200 if one is damaged. I don't think we need to be overly nervous. I think that people will be very respectful of the Chromebooks and be happy to use them in the building. We wouldn't let them check them out off-site. They would just be used within the library. All the schools are using them, so the kids are very familiar with them, and just be a nice way to really open up the valuable resource that they are.
There, the last dot under circulation,
Mm-hmm.
I did think, I agree with you, I did think that was like overly threatening, to be
Yeah.
honest.
I
It's
borrowed that from Wilbraham, and I thought, maybe that we don't need to
Yeah.
threaten people that we're going to call the police.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can just say Chromebooks must be returned by the end of library hours, and leave it at that, because
Yeah.
we do farther down say that
Yeah.
you're responsible for.
So I was in
I-
total agreement with you
I
there.
agree with you. My hair started to curl. Okay.
Yeah, I
Just say-
actually started to write the threats out. In the event the Chromebooks are not returned, steps will be taken to immediately recover the devices. Sanctions will be imposed, which could include fines, suspensions of library privileges, notification of police and/or town authorities, followed by recovery of costs. So your thought is just to say Chromebooks left attended will be subject to replacement fees, right?
Well, that's entirely up to you.
Or
That's-
failure to return the Chromebook by the end of the borrowing period may be may result in consequences appropriate to the direction of the
So you're
library.
putting in new language here.
Well, I'm just saying that might be another way to say what happens if you don't return it by the end, instead of just bulleting a bunch of different things. To say that the consequences will be,
With your library card or something.
Yeah.
or will be,
Loss of
Privilege.
privilege.
consequences may include loss of library privileges, something like that. And fees, lots of fees. Or just to say there may be some consequences at the purview of the library management. Or maybe we don't need to put any of that,
Well,
anything about consequences.
Yeah, construed as theft. I don't think
Yeah, that's,
we want to say quite that way. Over threatening, perhaps, I agree with. I don't know quite how to phrase it, but
Could we maybe think about that?
come back to it next
I think shorter is better, and I agree
Okay.
not to be threatening here. But it could be something just as simple as users assume complete financial responsibility for any damage or loss of the device. Or, in addition to potential loss of library privileges, users assume financial responsibility for any loss or damage to the device, or something like that.
it just reminds me of something. kids were coming in here with their skateboards, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the reference person upstairs would confiscate, or people would come in and she would take their license. Maybe it wasn't the skateboard, it was whatever, but she would take their license and they didn't get their license back until they returned the material.
Oh, I know.
I mean, their driver's license.
I know of a 5th grade teacher, when the kids borrowed something from her, she kept one of their shoes.
Bring them back.
Miss Smith would give them back their shoe.
I remember that.
Do you remember?
Yes.
Yes. Can we think about that paragraph?
Yes, yeah.
I think we all agree that we want to change it. I don't have.
Sure.
I came up with wording, but it ended up being even worse.
Should we like table it
Yeah, why
for the
don't we-
next for
Yeah, we
the
can.
next meeting?
Let's
and
push it off a
maybe toss some ideas around, write them down, and
See who has felicitous phrasing.
I'm not as tired later as I am right now.
Oh, I know, me too.
I had to look this stuff up in Wikipedia. I had no idea what a Chromebook was.
Oh, yeah?
Well, the other thing is, I'm opposed.
Well,
to,
now look how
I
smart
know
you
what I
are.
know what Wilbraham's done. I'm opposed to putting dollar limits on any of this stuff. $200, that's what it costs today, but there may be a successor to Chromebook that costs more than $200. Or we may be getting them for $20 the
Right.
day after tomorrow.
Right.
Anytime you put a set monetary limit on a policy that could be enforced for 27 years, it's just,
And you could
not the
just
way to
say,
write the policy.
and you could just say replacement cost.
replacement costs,
Yeah, that's a good
or
idea.
something like that.
Yeah, because the
Just-
numbers I saw were quite a bit higher than $200.
I know
Yeah,
that
yeah, we get them
these
through a
were- yeah.
consortium, so they're cheaper.
So just eliminate, so just say patrons would be responsible for replacement charges and just eliminate the,
Yeah,
The amount.
Can we
Sure.
agree to, all of us agree to come up with something that we might talk about the next time?
Yeah.
absolutely.
In the meantime, if you want to use it, use Wilbraham's. I saw that handout. What do they do? They put the tape on the back of the Chromebook?
yeah, they have a little kind of mini,
I saw the
mini
barcode on there.
policy
yeah.
right on the top of
Well,
the,
that's sort of cute. Everybody, then nobody can say I didn't. Nobody told me.
Exactly.
Right?
that's right.
And maybe I missed it, but are there any age limits as to the
No.
use of them? So anybody
As long as they
who's
have a
with a
library card in
can
good
use
standing.
this? Okay.
And you get rid of all their work when it's returned,
Yes.
right?
Mhm. For privacy.
That's interesting.
Well, we'll talk about, maybe put that on the agenda for the next time. then?
Sure.
That'd be good.
Old business, we ready for that?
I figured with the ongoing discussion that we had about the meeting room, and then of course the changes that we were just talking about, and that we would just not make any changes to the meeting room policy other than some of the wording that needed to be updated where it would still say Board of Selectmen or things like that. So that's why I put this under old business. We did update some of the Board of Selectmen language. I think that was about it. And not make any changes to the release of claims or anything like that at this time.
Yeah, this looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, I think Denise Menard may have input on this as well. The word I came across, the phrase was mission creep,
Yeah.
about our responsibilities. We can't overdo our responsibilities, and we can't underdo our responsibilities. But mission creep was an interesting idea.
Where did you get that from?
Wall Street Journal, I don't know.
Wall Street.
But it's a characteristic of committees to try to extend their strengths and reach.
That's pretty good.
I think we are bound by the charter. So
We are establishing a policy. I have no problem establishing a policy, Your Honor.
Okay.
But mission creep is beautiful because MacArthur says, yeah, I know, I got most of Korea, now I want to go across the Yalu. That's mission creep.
So should I add amended by and then this date at the
Yeah.
bottom?
I got an amendment if you're going to do it.
Okay.
Under group responsibilities on page 2, the second page is unnumbered, but cleaning up all trash and food.
Yeah.
that has a semicolon there, I'd strike the semicolon and replace the semicolon with a period. Just for the neatness
Sure.
of it. And I asked the question about the notarized, the wording notarized in the, under guidelines, it actually goes over to guidelines, subparagraph 3 under guidelines, it's on the 3rd page. It talks, meeting room reservations must be made by written application, notarized and submitted to the library director. The application is actually witnessed. I don't know that it's, I think that we agreed that we didn't, if the individual was known, for example, someone known, the president of the garden club, let's say Laura Palmer is coming in to make a reservation for the garden club, she's known to us. We know who Laura Palmer is. We don't need to have a notarized affidavit saying that this person is who she says she is, which is really what that notarization calls for. I don't have that form in front of me, but I just, yeah, thank you. You're the best. On this day of such and such, undersigned notary public personally appeared before me, personally appeared Joe Smith, proved to me through satisfactory evidence of identification, which was a driver's license or something, to be the person whose name is signed there. That's all it's doing, it's just notarizing, saying that's the person that they say it is. So we don't need that. So this form, this form of release, which I think we do need, really has a witness on it, which is the library director or the designee or the representative of the library director typically, who witnessed the signature of the individual. So my thought would be not to change the word up there under the 3rd paragraph, under paragraph 3 under the guidelines. Written application witnessed and submitted to the library director 1 week in advance, blah, blah, blah. Governmental agencies exempt from having to submit a witnessed application.
You're saying.
You see what I mean? So the word notarized up there is probably, we don't need to use that word because we would not routinely ask for a notarization of the person to say who they are that they said they were. If they were known to us. If the president of the garden club came in and was known to us, we wouldn't say, you gotta tell us, you gotta get a notarization that you say you are. And then on the bottom of the same word, submits another notarized witnessed application. I would say change that word from notarized to witnessed, and that's the only change that I had. The only question I had, well, I don't know, it's fine. It's fine. Did you have any thoughts, Layla? Other than, I didn't have a problem with it.
No.
So are we gonna strike the word notarized from the first line? Under 3?
So it's just going to say meeting room reservations must be made by written application
And submitted.
to the library director. Is that what you're recommending?
Well, I would say witnessed because the application does ask for a witness.
Witnessed.
Okay.
See, this says, Cindy, down here, witness and the signature of the
Okay.
person applying.
Yeah, okay.
So I just used the word witnessed.
And a library card isn't enough because they've already proven
Well, they've
proof
proven
of who they are.
But if they're known, I would defer to the library director,
Right.
you know? Doesn't bother me.
Are
Yeah,
we gonna have the government
just
sign
think-
this
I don't,
stuff?
I don't,
We're not, right? Okay,
Well,
so you need to phrase it, government agencies are exempt
Well,
from having to submit an application.
they do register though.
they do have to.
You'd want them to complete an application. However, what you're trying to do is make it a little bit easier than putting another
Another
step.
layer.
Yes,
Right.
another step as to getting it notarized. I know from where, the position I work in at the school, we don't ask for a notarized document. They signed a release
I think
of
that's
and
okay.
and
Do they have to
whoever
witness it?
whoever Well, what happens is whoever's taking
Taking
it,
it, witnesses
well, is the witness, asks to see
See,
a
ID.
driver ID.
Right,
A
or some
photo-
form of ID.
Yes,
A photo
it has to
ID.
be a photo,
Photo
ID. And it could be their job has, their picture
badge.
on it,
Yeah.
and it's so forth, and it says their name and so forth, like a nurse at Bay State,
Sure.
Health or something like that. But it has to be some type of photo ID,
ID.
so you can look at the
This is the
face,
person that's
because
here.
that's all the notary's really doing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all.
But it seems cumbersome to have somebody say, oh, well, sorry, you have to go get that notarized.
Well, I don't think we're asking that to be notarized for someone that we know.
We were.
Well, are you?
I think I would take this, and if the person has a library card, or let's say the board of selectmen, or
right.
the recreation commission needs to use this, or somebody, and they just want to get it scheduled. See, it seems to me like there's a file on meeting room reservations, and when Lila or her designee goes to the file and says March 15th, we have someone, Joe Smith, who's applied and was granted that date.
Yeah.
Now, we know that the town offices have priority, and that's a juggling act that the library folks have to do.
Right.
So we call up and we say, Joe, da-da-da-da-da, or Bill, we're sorry, you gotta come another time.
Yeah.
Because the town fathers have to use the room.
Right.
Or something. But that's the piece of paper that gets it started.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just another memo that I've taken and lose, or leave in my pocket, or whatever. I would defer, but I don't see any change, I don't see any problem with it, as it is. I just don't, I don't think the word notarized has to be in there. I think
Right, I don't either.
witness is not bad, and it's typically the person
agree.
who takes the reservation as
And a witness could be in it.
as Diane said.
Should we defer a vote on this, or should we vote tonight? Do we have all the information we need and want? Guess we're getting along.
Do you have any
into-
thoughts, any
We
any
are.
other
I'd
changes?
kind of like to go over.
I
it
think
again.
I would too.
Okay,
I would too.
next.
I made the recommended
Recommended?
changes that Charlie asked for in the organizational chart, which we need as part of our strategic plan. So it includes names now, and the numbers in parentheses are how many full-time or part-time or whatever their status might
This is
be.
terrific. This is very helpful to me, probably because this is the way I think. The only change I would suggest, I'll give you my note. Because we in fact are all ultimately going to be appointed by the town manager, I would put a direct line, which is a dotted line.
Okay.
Which indicates coordination. And in my recollection from the old days when I was working for a living, don't work anymore, thank you very much, appreciate it. But a dotted line indicates coordination, liaison, mutual help, whatever, however you want to describe it. And I would put a dotted line just between the town manager and the Board of Library Trustees. And I would flip the words library and board so that it's,
Okay.
I think historically we've called ourselves, or have been called in all of the laws,
Board of Library.
Board of
of
Library
Library
Trustees,
Trustees.
okay.
And then the last thing, I got on the circulation supervisor, Joanne Nitting. There are 3 direct report lines
Yep.
under her. Library assistant / tech services, library assistant / circulation, and library pages. And my question is this: under the library assistant / tech, that's a direct report line to the library cataloger.
Yeah, that position is split between those two departments, meaning that Robin assists with cataloging, technical services, some hours,
Okay.
and then she assists with helping patrons at the circulation desk some other hours.
Sure.
Oh,
Personally,
Who
I
does-
think it's murky to have somebody reporting to two different people,
It's hard.
but she's very comfortable with it, and that's the way that it's been
Who
since
does
she
her
started here.
performance appraisal?
That would be, that's a good question, yeah.
Whoever does the performance appraisal.
Part
we
would
can
be
put-
done by one, part would be done
Part
by
would be
the
done by
other.
Kristen, and part would be done by Joanne.
Because they're two separate
Mhm.
duties
Wow.
that they have.
Yeah.
wow.
So like, is she half-time in Cadillac and half-time at Cirque, or is it not split evenly
It's
that
not
way?
split evenly,
Oh,
it depends on,
What the
of
need,
course, yeah.
the need.
Okay.
So she floats between the two departments.
Normally, you can't, it's very hard to have two bosses.
I agree with you.
She's,
And,
I've always had 5.
I discussed it with her, and she said it's worked well for them. She's worked here for 10 years, and she doesn't have any challenges with it. I'm with you, Charlie, that I think it's very,
Cumbersome.
It's
challenging
just,
to
it's
have
just
two.
hard, and, you
Yeah.
know, when she calls in sick, who does she call? She call both of them?
yep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. We'll text. Everybody texts.
Oh,
now.
that's true.
But yeah, she notifies both of them.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Okay, it works for them, it works for me. Here you go.
Thank you. So I
Can
will
I get a
make,
clean
I will
copy?
make those changes
Yeah.
and resend it out.
Okay.
You know, there ought to be a
1.87.
way to do that on an org chart though, where you have two bosses. I don't know how to do it. Remember how to do it, Diane? You're good at this stuff. No.
I'd have to really think about, I don't know.
Do you put 2 blocks for her?
Yeah.
One to library catalog
Mhm.
and make the block a little smaller, and then one to circulation supervisor,
Yeah.
another block, and put her same name in.
Yeah.
And then how many hours? Well, you don't
But it
really know
always
the
changes,
hours.
yeah.
Always changing.
So you, full-time flux.
Okay, well, that's fine. It's
Yeah,
fine the way it
it's
is.
working this way.
Only the obsessive compulsive people. Oh, sorry.
Charlie,
You have control of that arm?
No, I
Charlie?
don't.
he has no control.
God help me. Okay,
think
what's
you're right.
next, Chief?
Library Friends News.
Well, basically, you've heard the news, but I did want to give you a list of the officers and the directors.
thank
That's all, so that the names.
Thank Darcy, by
So,
the way.
I will.
The treasurer, I see she's the treasurer.
Yeah. So
that's
I
good.
just wanted you to be able to identify or at least have names or maybe faces.
Right.
Whenever I say the friends, it just seems like an invisible group. So I wanted the people's names for your convenience.
Who's Andrea Gray? Do I know her?
Well, Andrea Gray was an elementary school teacher over at Maple Shade School, who has retired a couple of years back. I know Andrea because I worked in her room with her as a paraprofessional. Well, anyway, so she retired and she answered the call when we had an opening for a director, and so she stepped up to the plate and said, "I will." So as of last June, is when
That's
she
good.
joined the board. We're very happy.
She'd done something before, hadn't she? I mean, the name is very familiar to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Her husband traveled all around the world while he was a representative of Milton Bradley.
Oh,
Yeah, you should see what their cellar looks like
Oh.
with all the games and and stuff. stuff.
Where do they live?
Yeah, on Millbrook.
Millbrook.
Yeah,
oh,
Millbrook
not too
Drive.
far from us, Charlie.
Yeah.
Oh, pretty close.
So that's what I can tell you about
That's through the
Andrea.
woods.
Yeah. So
Okay,
Also,
thank you.
you're welcome.
Also, in terms of the friends where it has Tony here, I wanted a memorial brick for my mother, and they didn't have any forms.
Yep.
So the bricks are being revised, and they've got a new vendor.
Yep.
There will be some new forms coming out, and they got a better deal from this vendor, so I thought that was good, because, and they're gonna do another promotion for
Yeah.
the bricks in the
Yeah.
walkway,
I thought I
which I think is a
reported
good
that
thing.
one time. I reported, I
Yeah,
had
that's
reported
in the
that.
minutes someplace.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
in the minutes.
yeah,
Okay, that's it.
yeah, maybe,
Sorry.
I
Put 'em up to- sorry. But I just had personal dealings with it, and it worked so well.
yeah, that's
With
good.
Tony, yeah.
Well, I'll pass that along to Tony.
Please, tell him thank you.
Okay, I will.
Should we move to adjourn?
Well, just, before, yes,
Anything else?
I'll make a motion to adjourn, but before we adjourn, could I ask you to thank Darcy for coming over?
Yeah,
Yeah, you already did.
Oh, did I say that?
Yeah. But that's okay.
I was getting tired.
I know,
You
that's
don't
why we
believe
can't
me.
make any decisions right now.
I say this and nobody believes me. I know my.
Your limits.
Who are you again?
I know my limits too. I don't know.
I wasn't very good at 6 o'clock this morning.
Oh,
either.
no.
No.
Neither was I.
So you moved to adjourn?
I did. I made the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.